For the second straight day and the second day of Panthers minicamp, Cam Newton was throwing. He was throwing to stationary targets, and today added in a couple more throws to moving targets, to Christian McCaffrey on the move, through to Greg Olsen, through it to DJ Moore, through it to Chris Hogan. But one of the things that has been all the rage recently have been the new mechanics of Cam Newton. And it's been something that Norv Turner and Scott Turner have actually been working on since they came to the Panthers at the beginning of last season, trying to make his throwing motion a little bit more compact, trying to get that footwork down and perfect, and make sure that every throw that Cam Newton does has the most efficient amount of power behind it so that he can save that shoulder. Now obviously, as the shoulder went downhill last season, that form deteriorated. But the reality is if he can go forward with full health, that form will stay intact. Here's Scott Turner on exactly what that form means.
Well, it started specifically, last year just with his footwork of just keeping compact, make sure his feet and his eyes were working together, and that's where we really started. And then, it's carried over into this offseason as far as just making him a little bit more compact up in his upper body, a little bit more, closed off. I don't know if you mean by that, but just so he's not as open throwing the ball, and just to make him as efficient as possible, and putting as the least amount of stress. Now you're going to put stress on your arm. You're throwing a football. It's not a natural movement, but as little as we can, on his shoulder, just to take care of him.
Aside from a healthy Cam Newton, one of the things that can really help the Carolina Panthers going forward is going to be an excellent pass rush, something they have tried to address throughout the offseason, from the signing of Bruce Irvin and Gerald McCoy to the drafting of Brian Burns. The ability to get to the quarterback and force him to make mistakes is something that cornerback James Bradberry is really looking forward to.
We're trying to get to the quarterback for sure, and hopefully that leads to more interceptions. When you got a pass rush like that, quarterback has to get the ball out fast, and usually they make errors when they do that. So I'm looking forward to interceptions and tip balls and then overthrows.
Bradberry, who's entering the last year of his contract, said during this offseason he's been working to try and get better against smaller, quicker wide receivers. He's had to match up with big guys like Mike Evans and Julio Jones throughout his career, but he's been trying to focus on the guys that are quicker and faster. So going up against Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore has been extremely helpful. And speaking of small, fast guys, Donte Jackson, who's playing opposite Bradberry, had a great practice today. 2 huge pass breakups, one on the sideline where it looked like Curtis Samuel was going to come down with a leaping catch, and then probably the play of the day as Jackson floated through the air on a bomb from DJ Moore and tipped the ball directly into the hands of Colin Jones. One of the things that Ron Rivera and the rest of the Panthers coaching staff, including new secondary coach Perry Fewell, have been working with Jackson on is using his speed in the right moments, not just baiting a quarterback, but making sure that he can get to the spot at the right time.
Well, the thing that we don't want him to do is use that speed, the wrong way. And like you said, I think strategically is a good way to put it, because again, it's not just about trying to bait a guy into throwing the ball, but making sure you're in position that when you do have to hit it, you can go get it. And you see that a little bit more. He's, earlier you've seen me he'd slough off a little bit, and he'd try to burst in and make that play. And, that puts yourself in peril. But if you put yourself in the right position and you give yourself that strategic opportunity to make a play, you see a little bit more of that right now. So I'm kind of happy about that.
One more day of minicamp over at the practice fields before the Panthers will head off on their summer break. So this will be our last chance to see what they look like here in the spring before the real magic happens down in the heat in Spartanburg. From Bank of America Stadium, I'm Josh Klein for the Riot Report.